Life doesn't wait. It doesn't pause, rewind, or slow down for anyone. Yet too many of us live as if we have all the time in the world, waiting for the perfect moment, the right opportunity, or some magical sign to tell us now's the time to start. But the truth is, the perfect moment never arrives. There is only now. Every single day, people wake up with dreams burning inside them, ideas they never act on, ambitions they push to tomorrow, risks they are too afraid to take. They tell themselves they'll do it someday, as if someday is a guarantee, but it's not. Time is the most precious resource we have, and it's slipping away with every second we waste, hesitating, doubting, or waiting for life to align itself perfectly. Look around. Everything you see, the technology in your hands, the buildings you walk past, the music that inspires you, exists because someone refused to wait. They didn't have all the answers. They didn't know if they would succeed, but they started anyway. They embraced uncertainty, took the first step, and figured it out along the way. Some people spend their entire lives trapped in a cycle of hesitation, held back by the fear of failure. But failure isn't the enemy. The real enemy is regret. The regret of never trying, never pushing, never seeing what was possible. The ones who changed the world are not the ones who waited for permission. They are the ones who decided they couldn't wait. Time is the one thing we can never get back. It doesn't slow down, rewind, or give second chances. Yet so many people live as if they have all the time in the world, believing that opportunities will always be there, that dreams can wait, and that someday they'll finally take action. But life doesn't work that way. It moves forward with or without you. Every second spent waiting is a second lost forever. Think about it. How many brilliant ideas, dreams, and ambitions have been buried simply because people hesitated? How many lives have been spent in regret because someone thought they had more time? The truth is, life won't wait for you to feel ready. It won't pause until you gather the courage to take that first step. The moment you keep putting off, the decision you keep delaying, the action you keep postponing, these are the things that shape your future. The longer you wait, the further you drift from what could have been. Every great achievement, every breakthrough, every world-changing invention happened because someone refused to let time slip through their fingers. They didn't wait for a sign, for approval, or for conditions to be perfect. They understood that time is the most valuable resource they have, and they used it fearlessly. They moved forward despite uncertainty, despite fear, despite the voices telling them to wait. If you continue to wait for the right moment, one day you will wake up and realize that moment has already passed, that the chance you once had is gone, that the dream you carried inside you for years was wasted, not because you weren't capable, but because you waited too long. Life is happening now. The clock is ticking whether you act or not. The only question is, will you take control of your time, or will you let it slip away while you wait for a moment that will never come? There is a lie that holds countless people back, the belief that the perfect moment will come, a moment when everything is aligned, when fear disappears, when conditions are ideal, and success is guaranteed. But the truth is that moment doesn't exist. It never has, and it never will. The idea of a perfect time is just an illusion that keeps people trapped in hesitation, watching their dreams slip further and further away. Look at the people who changed the world, who built something extraordinary, who turned ideas into reality. None of them waited for the stars to align. They took action in the middle of uncertainty. They stepped forward even when they didn't feel ready. They understood that waiting for perfection only leads to one thing: inaction. The ones who achieve greatness are not the ones who sat around waiting for everything to be right. They are the ones who move forward despite the chaos, despite the doubt, despite the imperfections. If you keep waiting for the perfect moment, you will spend your whole life waiting. There will always be reasons to delay, always be obstacles, always be fear whispering that you should hold off just a little longer. But time doesn't stop. It keeps moving. And while you're waiting for perfection, someone else is taking action, learning, growing, and creating the future you once dreamed of. The reality is, the perfect moment isn't something you wait for, it's something you create. You take the step, you make the decision, and you figure it out along the way. Every second spent waiting for perfection is a second wasted. The best time to start is not tomorrow, not when conditions improve, not when fear disappears. The best time is now. People waste years of their lives trapped in hesitation, convinced that they have more time than they actually do. They tell themselves, I'll do it later. I'll start next week. I'll take the risk when I feel ready. But weeks turn into months, months into years, and before they know it, the opportunity they once had is gone. Not because they weren't capable, not because they didn't have potential, but because they kept waiting for a time that never came. Every day, millions of people wake up with dreams in their hearts, ideas in their minds, and ambitions that could change their lives. But instead of acting, they let doubt creep in. They tell themselves they'll wait until they have more money, more knowledge, more experience. They convince themselves they need just a little more preparation, just a little more confidence. And so they do nothing. They watch from the sidelines as others take the chances they were too afraid to take. They see people with no more talent, no more intelligence, no more resources succeed, not because they were better, but because they started. The biggest tragedy isn't failure, it's never trying at all. It's looking back and realizing that the only thing that held you back was hesitation, that the fear of starting cost you everything you could have achieved. Life doesn't stop and wait for you to make up your mind. Time keeps moving, and if you don't move with it, you will be left behind. The truth is, no one ever feels completely ready. No one ever starts with all the answers. But the people who make things happen understand that waiting is just another form of fear. And the only way to defeat it is to act. Not tomorrow, not next month, not when it feels right, now. Everything you admire, everything that inspires you, everything that has changed the way people live, none of it happened because someone sat around waiting for the right time. It exists because someone refused to wait. Someone had an idea and took action. Someone believed in their vision enough to move forward even when they weren't sure how things would turn out. Imagine if the greatest minds in history had hesitated, if they had let fear hold them back, if they had convinced themselves they weren't ready, that they needed more time, that the moment wasn't right. Imagine if the people who built the world around us had chosen comfort over courage. The world would be stuck in the past and progress would have never happened. The difference between those who make an impact and those who only dream about it is simple. One group waits and the other takes action. The people who change the game aren't necessarily the smartest, the richest, or the most prepared. They are the ones who understand that time won't slow down for them, so they take the first step even in uncertainty. If you have a dream, if you have a vision, if there's something inside you that refuses to be ignored, then stop waiting. There will always be a reason to delay, always be obstacles, always be fears whispering that you should hold back. But the truth is, the perfect time never comes. Progress belongs to those who move forward anyway, those who decide that waiting is not an option. Right now, there is someone out there with half your talent, half your ideas, and half your potential. But they are making things happen simply because they refused to wait. The world doesn't need more people with dreams they never act on. It needs people who have the courage to step up and make them real. Fear of failure is the silent thief of dreams. It keeps people frozen, convincing them that taking a risk is too dangerous, that making a mistake is too costly, that stepping outside their comfort zone will only lead to disaster. But the truth is, failure isn't the enemy. The real enemy is regret. The heavy, unbearable weight of knowing you could have done something but chose not to. Every person who has ever achieved greatness has failed. Not once, not twice, but over and over again. They failed, they learned, they adjusted, and they kept going. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the process. It teaches lessons that no book, no course, no amount of waiting could ever teach. Every mistake, every setback, every challenge is shaping you, preparing you for what's next. The only people who never fail are the ones who never try. And they pay the highest price of all, a life of wondering, what if? The greatest risk isn't trying and failing. It's waiting so long that you never try at all. The world is filled with people who had incredible ideas, massive potential, and brilliant dreams, but they let fear stop them. They watched others take the risks they were too afraid to take. They played it safe, convincing themselves they were avoiding failure, but in the end, they lost something far greater: their chance. Think about it. If you fail, you can try again. You can learn, improve, and grow. But if you wait too long, that opportunity might never come back. Time moves forward whether you act or not. So which will you choose? The temporary sting of failure or the lifelong pain of regret? One fades, the other lasts forever. Most people stand at the edge of their dreams, waiting for the right conditions, waiting to feel ready, waiting for some invisible force to tell them it's time. But here's the truth. No one ever feels completely ready. No one ever has all the answers before they start. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is simple. One group waits, the other takes the first step. If you look at the most successful people in history, they didn't have everything figured out when they started. They didn't have a perfect plan or absolute certainty that they would succeed, but they understood something most people don't, that action creates clarity. You don't find the right path by standing still. You find it by moving forward, making mistakes, learning, adjusting, and continuing to push ahead. Every great journey begins with a single step. Yet so many people stand frozen at the starting line, convincing themselves they need more preparation, more knowledge, more resources. They overthink, they hesitate, and they let fear talk them out of their own potential. Meanwhile, someone else with less experience, less knowledge, and fewer resources is out there taking risks, making progress, figuring things out along the way. You don't need to have everything sorted out. You don't need a guarantee. All you need is the courage to take the first step. The rest will come. The lessons, the experience, the confidence, it all follows action, not the other way around. The longer you wait to begin, the further you push your dreams into the distance. The moment you stop waiting and start moving, everything changes. The path won't be perfect, but it will be yours to create. Nothing is more painful than looking back and realizing you never even tried. Regret is far heavier than failure, because failure at least means you did something. It means you had the courage to take a step, to put yourself out there, to chase something that mattered to you. But regret comes from knowing that you let fear, doubt, and hesitation rob you of the life you could have lived. People fool themselves into thinking they have time. They say, I'll start next week, next month, next year. But one day they wake up and realize they've spent their whole life waiting. They see someone else living the dream they once had, someone else taking the risks they were too afraid to take. And at that moment, they understand that the only thing standing between them and their dreams was their own hesitation. Failure is never final. You can rise again, you can learn, you can try a different way. But regret stays with you. It whispers in your ear at night, reminding you of the chances you didn't take. It makes you wonder what could have been if only you had been a little braver, a little bolder, a little less afraid of things that never even happened. The truth is, you will never regret trying. You will never regret taking a leap, even if it doesn't work out the way you planned, because every effort, every risk, every moment of action teaches you something. It moves you forward, but waiting, that does nothing. That steals your time, your potential, and your future. The choice is yours. Take action now, or live with the regret of never knowing what you were truly capable of. The world is not changed by those who sit and wait. It is changed by those who take action, by those who refuse to let hesitation control their lives, by those who understand that the only way forward is to move. Thinking, planning, and preparing have their place, but without action, they mean nothing. Every single breakthrough, every success story, every life-changing invention came from someone who dared to take the first step, even when the path was unclear. They didn't wait for conditions to be perfect. They didn't wait for fear to disappear. They didn't wait for permission. They simply acted. Most people get stuck in the cycle of hesitation. They tell themselves they need just a little more time to be ready, a little more information, a little more confidence. But the truth is, waiting only makes it harder. The more you delay, the more fear grows, the more doubt creeps in, the more your dreams start to fade into the background. And while you're waiting, someone else is out there making things happen. Someone with less knowledge, less experience, less talent, but with more willingness to take action. Action is what separates those who achieve from those who only wish. It doesn't matter if you're uncertain. It doesn't matter if you don't have everything figured out. What matters is that you start, because movement creates momentum, and momentum creates results. One step forward, no matter how small, is always better than standing still. If you wait too long, you will find yourself looking back one day, wondering what could have been. But if you act now, you'll realize that progress doesn't come from waiting for the perfect time. It comes from deciding that now is the time. The clock is ticking. Every second that passes is a second you will never get back. Yet so many people live as if they have forever, as if time is an unlimited resource, as if they can keep postponing their dreams without consequence. But time doesn't wait. It moves forward whether you act or not, whether you take the leap or stay stuck in hesitation. And one day you will wake up and realize that the opportunity you once had is gone. Not because you weren't capable, but because you waited too long. There is no pause button in life. There is no rewind, no way to go back and reclaim lost time. Every moment spent overthinking, doubting, or waiting for the right time is a moment stolen from your future. The people who achieve the most, who create the biggest impact, who live with the least regret are the ones who understand this simple truth. The time to act is always now. You don't have forever. No one does. And the most dangerous thing you can do is assume that you do. The dream you keep putting off, someone else is chasing it. The opportunity you keep waiting on, someone else is seizing it. The life you want to build, someone else is out there making it happen, not because they are better, not because they have more resources, but because they decided they were done waiting. Your time is limited. Spend it wisely. Chase what excites you. Move toward what scares you. Stop waiting for permission, for perfection, for some magical sign that now is the right time. Because this is the sign. This moment, right now, is the only thing guaranteed. Make the most of it before it's too late. Life is too short to be spent waiting, too short to sit on the sidelines, to let opportunities slip through your fingers, to allow fear and hesitation to write the story of your life. The truth is, there is no perfect moment. There is no guarantee, no certainty, no magic signal that tells you when to start. The only thing that matters is that you begin, because action is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Think about the people you admire, the ones who have built something extraordinary, the ones who have left a mark on the world. They were not immune to doubt. They had fears, they faced obstacles, they encountered failure, but they refused to let any of that stop them. They understood that time is the most valuable thing we have, and they used it wisely. They didn't wait for confidence to come to them. They built it through action. They didn't wait for certainty. They moved forward in the face of uncertainty. They didn't wait for permission. They gave themselves permission to start. Every great achievement, every life-changing breakthrough, every unforgettable success story started with one thing: a decision. A decision to stop waiting, a decision to act, a decision to take control of the moment rather than letting the moment control them. And that same decision is in front of you right now. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is hesitation. The world is filled with people who had the potential to do something great but never did because they waited too long, because they convinced themselves they weren't ready, because they let fear win. Don't be one of them. Don't let another day, another month, another year pass by while you stand still. This is your time, not tomorrow, not someday, now. Step forward, take the risk, embrace the unknown, and trust that everything you need will come as you move. Your future is not waiting, it's happening. The only question is, will you step up and claim it?